Welcome back, listeners, to the Plaza Podcast. I'm here with Andy Hoke of Andy's Philosophy Corner, and this is our crossover episode. And today, we're talking about the infinite realities of the self. And what do we mean by the infinite realities of the self? I would like to start it off by saying everyone that you've ever known has a different perception of you. From the people that you went to school with, grade school, know you as a certain person.
Yeah.
From your parents, they know you as a certain person. Mm-hmm. From your exes, know you as a certain person. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And your ex's friends now know you as maybe a villain. There's that too. Right? So there's these infinite possibilities of reality of the self that people have about other people. Now, you could go to a grocery store.
That's a lot of realities.
That's a lot of realities. Now you can go to a grocery store.
So cut us a little slack here, you know, we only got like an hour.
Right. So you can go to a grocery store and you can see somebody shopping and instantly make a determination of what that type of person is.
You can. And we're very, very eager to know, especially when everybody is different from you. And take an example where a person from one land visits a completely foreign land.
Okay. Sure.
In my land, everybody has polka dots. In their land, everybody has stripes. Everybody happy. So.
Right.
All right.
Star-bellied sneetches.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Live on the beaches.
Well, when we encounter other people, we're really eager to know as much as we can.
Right.
We deal in information.
Right.
And, you know, on a quantum reality fact level, you can look at it by the numbers, but you will never run out, because I can look it up, but infinity's pretty big.
I would say infinity is that's its own definition.
Okay,
right?
so let's
infinite realities.
Well, let's try changing out some of the worlds now.
Sure.
Some of the words. Now, here's a word example. This is theory, or just a way of looking at things. You decide. There are places in the universe that are too far spatially for us to ever get to.
Sure.
And some would say, since we still don't have an answer to the Big Bang,
right?
Any of us can take a guess, you know? They show me a unified field theory, everybody agrees on, and I'll start taking for the word on everything. So that is what you become. You solve for your situation. Mm-hmm. Sort of getting back to the numbers, you know, infinity. Okay, well, it's a big number. Well, what if we thought of it in 3 spatial dimensions and 1 linear dimension, time?
Sure.
Right.
So time is a linear dimension.
Right. So like right now, I'm piloting Starship Andy through a 3-dimensional passage in space and time. We all are.
Sure.
And that can be
our
quite
own different ships.
Right. Now, you could also argue that I'm not the same being I was 5 minutes ago.
Right.
You know, and in theory, you have, while we've been sitting here, you've been watching us convert oxygen into carbon dioxide without even breaking a sweat. So, in a very simple way, my molecules have changed.
Right.
I'm not exactly the same, but if I'm not me, then who am I?
Right. Who are you?
I mean, there's a certain amount of navel gazing that I think we all fall into that mode.
Right.
You have to take a step away from caring, from helping out your fellow human being.
Right.
Say, whoa, Andy time. I love you. I've been working and putting in the hours, been putting in the effort, been putting into thinking, good, hard, honest work. And I just need a little bit of time away for a few days.
Sure. Sure. And then, and sort of like, I want to touch upon the only reality that we know as individuals is ourselves through our souls.
Yeah.
And I know that there was a philosopher that spoke upon that.
Ourselves and our souls.
Right.
Well, Rene Descartes, and he's not the only one, but Rene Descartes placed a very special importance on the part of the mind called the pineal gland.
And is that the one that where they talk about, taking cold showers and activates your pineal gland? And
sure.
I mean, if you don't know, tell me.
Well, I can only share what I know.
Yeah, sure.
And honestly, it's kind of a bottom line. We're all trying to figure it out, While we're figuring it out, we can be nice to each other. But Descartes said that the pineal gland is the principal seat of the soul. You're like, wow, that's a pretty weird thing for a guy thousands of years ago to know brain surgery.
Right, and
Where did that come from exactly?
And a part of the soul, right?
Right. Now the pineal gland is tiny. It's about the size of an almond. It's the only part of the human brain that is not segmented.
So there's not a left and right part of it.
Right. Also, for its size, it requires more blood flow, meaning oxygen, than any other part of the body. And weirdly enough, many say that there's a lot of things on this earth that might be bad for that, And so one of those things would be metals, because your pineal gland also kind of acts like a magnet.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Somehow, which is kind of weird. I mean, a lot of this is theoretical. This is really abstract, theoretical. Do your own research. I've done mine, and I'm sharing it. I would expect, people are going to do what they're going to do, but to manage our expectations, it's great because we talk about this stuff when the camera's off too.
Right. So we do.
Not just show prep. It's because we find it interesting.
Yeah.
Take an example of someone you haven't seen in a week.
1 week.
And someone you haven't seen in 10 years.
All right.
Now, how interesting is it to manage your own expectations? It's been a week, Adam.
Right.
It's been 10 years.
Right.
Very different conversations, very different interactions. 10 years doesn't happen every day. Most people, depending on what you do, most people will probably never ever see again. So that's most of these other patterns we're trying to make sense of, right?
There's that, yeah. So the people you never see again, that's the last reality of them that you know.
Sure. Well, seeing is a verb that would then, therefore, I think, also have to extend to the internet.
Right.
Since we have this amazing way of taking in phenomenal amounts of information. So I haven't seen you in a year, but I checked your Facebook.
Sure.
That sort of thing. I know what he's up to.
But seeing and experiencing are two different things. Because
that's the crux of the matter, my man.
That is the crux of the matter. And here's why. Because everybody wants to show themselves in their best light at all times.
Of course.
Nobody wants to, unless they have, some sort of, mental deficiency that they want to say, my life's horrible, somebody help me. And you do see that. You do see that too. You do see that, the cries for help and things like that. There were the cries for attention. You see that. But typically, on average, everybody wants to be shown in their best light. That's the way humans are.
Well,
by nature.
That could be. I remember. I was just reminded of some ancient. I forget the name of the philosopher. Ancient Chinese, I guess, philosopher. He was like the village sage, but he was a real weirdo. Like he has had some really weird moves.
Like,
one of them is
how weird are we talking? Are we talking like Bill Clinton weird, or are we talking?
Well, the example how this guy got excited because he found a dead cat in the street. They're like, "What are you so excited for?" He goes, "This is mine now. I'm taking it."
Yeah.
They're like, "Why would you take that?" He goes, "Because no one's going to want to take it off of me."
Smart.
Well. Oh no, they asked him. What's the most? He was asked, "What's the most valuable thing in the world?" And he said, "A dead cat."
Okay.
And they're like, "Where did you even get that?"
Yeah.
Because it's the last thing anybody will ever want to take off of you.
Yeah.
Is a dead cat.
Yeah. Smart.
Well.
I mean, why not?
All right. Well, I don't want to. Jeez, there's an inappropriate joke that popped into my head. We're gonna have to talk about something else.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So that's
So like George Michael said, there's little things you hide and little things that you show. There's little things you hide, little things that you show.
That's right. He was a prophet, George Michael, wasn't he? He was a little bit of a prophet.
Well, he's doing better than. Well, is he doing better or worse? That's a whole other.
Whoa! Now that he ceases to be. He died on Christmas. You know that? He died on Christmas. So the song "Last Christmas" was his last Christmas. Yeah. And he did say, "I will be your father figure." He did say that in the song. He did. George Michael. Anyway.
Got to have faith.
You gotta have faith. And you're gonna have a lot more faith right back after this. Right back here on the Steel Plaza Podcast with Andy Hope from Andy's Philosophy Corner. And today we were talking about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that does exist. A lot of stuff that doesn't exist. A lot of things about the self. And you spoke a little bit during the break about an onion, right?
Sure. As you, this was just one way of thinking of things that was explained to me in college, is that when you ask these questions and you get one answer and then you seek to the next and you go to the next and the next. What if it was like layers of an onion? That all there really is layers. And seeds to get you more onions.
Sure.
So, and of course there's many types of onions, and we don't need to cry over
Peeling onion,
yeah, chopping onions. That can make you cry.
Yeah, sure.
Make you grow and cry. But that's one way of looking at things, is that, okay, well, it is the layers. It is your process of saying, well, what's underneath that? Rip. What's underneath that? Rip. What's underneath that? Rip. And I mean, you need a little variety sometimes.
Sure.
Sometimes you gotta just take a break away from yourself and thinking about, I mean, as we might call it, navel gazing. Because people have been wondering about this stuff forever. And there's probably lots of a million or an infinite
amount of realities.
Number of ways that, or names, real for the same thing of finding yourself. I think it was Mark Twain who said the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, so to have a sense of purpose and find your what.
There's the what. And then there's the onion I want to talk about a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the layers of a person. So, when you're a kid, you really don't have anything other than just being that kid. Now, the layers start to happen, right? As your upbringing. Right? And people start to see you differently in a different light and a different reality based on the layers that are put upon you, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you will, the person that you knew is now a different person completely because of a layer that they put on of the onion, right?
Right.
And it goes, and it goes, and it goes.
Right.
Now, all these different people that have known you throughout your whole life that may not contact you now are all different people. They're all different realities of the same person.
Every molecule in your body has been changed out. I think for most cells, it's about every 6 months. Some of them it's longer.
Sure.
But yes, even damaged brain cells can regrow. This was unknown when I first researched this when I was young, but apparently. And so, from that point of view, it's sort of like killing off your weakest.
Right.
When you do need to sort of take a break from your onion chores, but it's a perception, and you're left with, I think, one question of, like I think I might have said earlier today, if I'm not me, then who am I?
Right, and perception, and it's a phrase that they always say in the military, perception is reality. If you are not doing something you're supposed to be doing, that perception is reality. And if you're seen not doing the thing you're supposed to be doing, that perception is reality for the individual that is in charge of you. Now, you may have already done said task, but because you're perceived to be leaning and not cleaning, whatever it is.
Adam, we should have had this 3 days ago. Explain yourself.
Right. It should have been 3 days ago.
Right.
Now there you are, right? Now there you are. Well, it's done. Okay. So then it's done. Is it done? Then there's the trust but verify. Okay. I trust you, but I would like to verify.
But what was the phrase we had with Russia ending the Cold War? That was it. Trust but verify.
Trust but verify.
Is it détente or is it something else? There was a few different Russian words that they used to just, one way or another, just try to establish ties and to formalize and say, okay, here's a pattern we can agree on. Okay, this is my piece of land, that's your piece of land.
Right.
Are we all pretty clear? And I sort of mentioned a while ago about establishing, and especially in the business world, the only way that businesses can make any money and stay in business, which of course they have to do, is through voluntary exchanges.
Sure.
So you didn't get the thing back in 3 days, and according to what we've already specified here,
right,
in the event of event X, here's what's going to happen.
Right.
I'm managing expectations with that relationship. That's something you have to handle jointly. I think it'll be easy to slip into sort of a 19th century German thing where, well, we only got our lenses of perception, which means we can only, the words, everybody knows the word phenomenon.
Right.
That means that's the word you experience. However, what are the underlying forces? There's another realm which you actually cannot access called the noumenal realm. And so I don't have all the answers, but those are some of the words we try to use to get at. Now, so there's a lot of math from that point of view. You could say it's an infinite math.
It really is. It really is.
Well, and infinity is kind of another way of saying oblivion. Now, if you look up the word oblivion, it really just says a state of being oblivious.
That's what it is? It's not to obliviate?
Well, to obliviate means it's no longer in existence. Or it's not on your radar. It's gone. It was here, now it ain't here.
I didn't know that, okay.
So oblivion is just another name for the unknown. Not to deviate too much, but
sure,
I think it's really important to be cool with the unknown.
Sure. Sure.
I'm not the best looking, smartest guy ever, but what I encourage everybody is to be uncool with that infinity. You know, after all, it's just an 8 lying down. And you can do that. You can do 8.
Sure. I mean, is that what your tattoo is?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what your
Glad you
tattoo
asked. All right. I need to get up close for this, too. Hold on.
Yeah, take a look at this.
Yeah, look at this beauty. This was great. I had this done. It never scarred. It never flaked off or nothing, man.
So if you're not watching the show and you're just listening, Andy's got a tattoo that looks like a backwards E.
Followed by an exclamation point.
Followed by an exclamation point.
I'm kind of geeky. I like math.
He's a math guy.
But I was, for whatever reason, looking through a long list of mathematical symbols. You know, sort of stuff you can't just say to someone when you're waiting for the bus.
Sure.
Not a real conversation starter. It's usually conversation ender.
So
anyway, so this symbol here, capital letter E, backwards capital letter E followed by exclamation point. This symbol is called the uniqueness symbol, and it's what you use to designate when there is only one of something.
I didn't know that.
Not that unlike the idea of a prime number.
Mm-hmm.
Just mathematically, it can only be divided by 1 in itself, right?
Wow. Okay.
That's a prime number. There's a finite, well, here we go again with infinity. Let me put it this way. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general, is all based off of prime numbers. And they have these supercomputers. Biggest, most powerful computers in the world running 24/7 trying to find new, unique prime numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, they've already guessed 3, 5, and, well, see, this might take a while to list all of them because they're infinite, but if there's people right now, or somebody had a great eureka moment where they say, oh, I am the one. I found a perfectly unique prime number and verified it. I'm the first. Now, you can take that and it's crypto.
Crypto.
Whatever type of crypto.
Sure.
Hey, Bitcoin, I'll bet you'd like a new prime number, wouldn't you? So
That's interesting.
So it might be 300 digits long. This is the infinite thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's kind of So now the fact that time is linear, I checked last night.
Apparently, yeah, time is linear.
Right.
And so it doesn't branch off into different directions, as was once conceived.
Well, many people think it makes perfect sense to simply call it the fourth dimension. You have 3 spatial dimensions,
right?
And you have 1 chronological dimension. Now you've got something with 4 coefficients, probably,
right.
And 2a plus 3b plus 5c plus
Sure.
equals 9d, for example.
Right.
So people are up to. Isn't that weird though? That if you just find a new prime number, it's. Ooh. But that also leads me. I don't know if we still got time in this segment.
Yeah.
And I think almost everybody will find this interesting. The greatest problem right now in mathematics and therefore computer science
Oh my.
is generally called P versus NP.
And we're going to find out what that means right back after this. Right back here on the Steel Plaza Podcast. We left you on a cliffhanger. Right here with Andy from Andy's Philosophy Corner. So what are we talking about, that equation?
Well, first, let's hear more about the other fine programming.
Oh yeah, let's actually do that real quick. So there's a lot of programs on this channel. This is one of them, Andy's Philosophy Corner. The other is Steel Plaza Podcast, the traditional one. And don't forget, the darkest corners of the world, where we play music from all over the globe. And if you like what you hear and you'd like to donate to the show, it helps us keep the lights on here. As you can see, the lights on right now. Helps us keep the lights on. You can donate to www.paypal.me/Steel Plaza Podcast. We're going to make it worth your while. Let's talk about that equation.
Well, as I sometimes say in the program, this show isn't for everybody.
It's not for everybody. Well, not everything is for everybody.
Exactly.
What if you went to an ice cream truck and you said, well, all we have is vanilla? Now what?
That's an easy choice.
It's
Well, or is it? I could get the vanilla.
Yeah.
Or I could say, I don't want vanilla today.
Sorry, we haven't got
You're
it.
like, I really wanted Tutti Frutti.
Sorry, we haven't got it. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm going to keep looking around. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a specification about what you want. Now, P versus NP.
Yeah, let's get to that.
The greatest, well, there's several huge problems in mathematics that there's like $1 million prize for. And they've been out there for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally you will see one of these getting solved. Now, P versus NP. Look it up for yourself because everybody characterizes it a little bit different.
Or don't, because we'll just tell you what it is.
Which shouldn't be. I'm going to give you my impression. It's basically the question, Adam, I need the answer to a problem, or the answer to a question, right? Is it going to be quicker for you to work it out, or is it quicker to reliably confirm the answer? Simple example: 2 plus 2.
4.
He's correct.
4.
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
Now, suppose I said 6,291 billion divided by pi, but the whole thing cubed divided by 4. I don't know. Suddenly,
The answer is 11. Go ahead. I did the math myself, so.
So suddenly it's the exact same type of problem.
Sure.
Now, this has a corollary with your human mind. There's a special part of your brain called the amygdala.
Amygdala.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff out there about different parts of the brain. So we covered the pineal gland. And so the amygdala, you can look it up. It's, in one sense, it's like your librarian. Because your amygdala is the part of your mind that creates memories, stores memories, and retrieves memories. So it's something like a librarian. And my father, having worked in library science, I'm like, what kind of silly stuff is that?
Well, a lot of people don't know what libraries are now, so it's basically like your hard drive. So it saves data on a hard drive.
Thank you, yes. Well, so, okay, now apply that to, like, your computer. You are asked a question.
Right.
You check your machine to see if you have the correct answer. If you do, that's easy, you provide it by referencing it. However, an active search on your part may be necessary to complete the problem. You may need to go to a big list of logarithmic tables or something to get the answer to your math question. But the answer is out there. The question is, for any given operation, is it going to be quicker to perform the calculation yourself or to rely on another source to verify the information? And okay, that sounds really abstract. Please look it up for yourselves. So, having said that, as we interact with all the different versions, perhaps,
Of ourselves.
of us, I mean, because can be seen as just organic patterns,
Right.
just shooting through the galaxy, the universe. Everything else is kind of patterns in that way. So, when I encounter a problem, I can either rely on someone else or I can figure it out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just rewatched one of the best movies of all time. I forget what it was, but
Tom Hanks Big.
that's up there. No, it's not. No, it's not. Jeez.
The keyboard.
Yeah. How about the toy? Isn't that kind of creepy?
The Richard Pryor movie.
Oh boy. Anyway, no, but the line of the movie, there's basically a high school senior asking the teacher what to do. I'm thinking of doing this. Should I do that? Huh? And he says, thinking for yourself is the only real freedom any of us actually have.
Mm.
So it certainly helps if you can learn to get good at performing your own calculations.
Mm.
Because that spark, divine spark, which is of course abstract, but whatever it is that makes you you, if it's your perception about yourself. I mean, if we were to wake up one day and find out that you have unwittingly been the play, like just some toy of some interdimensional being.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it that way. All they give you is, 5 senses, and it's about it.
Mm.
So, if you want to look at it through the 19th century German point of view, well, yes, there's only 5 senses, and can we know these answers ourselves? Oh, pardon me. I'm thinking of Taoism, so I'm thinking of way. The way. What is the way? And so, to some extent, it's not as important. It's important, the specifics of what you do. All aboard!
The train's gone by.
And then I heard that train a-coming.
The train. Sorry, folks, the train's gone by.
Yeah, so I kind of lost my train of thought.
Oh, there you go.
No,
Taoism.
Taoism is the way. Now, what specific calculations you might perform is not nearly as important from one point of view. The what is not as important as the how.
Mm.
And I think that ties in with the why.
The how you do things, and the why you do things, and the why behind it. That's a big one. The why behind things, and I want to go back to the trust but verify, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm going to go back to that. So, if I asked you to do a task,
Yes, if you asked me to do a task.
If I asked you to do a task, and you didn't know why I asked you to do it, now that's going to make you least likely to do it correctly. If I said, Andy, I need you to do this, and I didn't tell you why it needs done, or the reason behind it, that would make you less likely to accomplish the task to completion or correctly. Does that make sense?
I was speaking with a teammate of mine, and makes these beautiful salads. They look amazing.
Sure.
Just these fresh, bountiful salads. And I'm like, wow, that really looks good. She said, yeah, I've been making salads for years. And she says, looking back, when I was a kid, and my mother asked me to help make the salad, when I was done, she said, you did such a good job at that. You're so good at that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And her revelation she shared was that, I think I kind of got tricked into that.
Right.
But also reminds us of Mark Twain again. As many will remember the story of the fence. You see, was it Tom?
Painting the fence, Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, was that Tom?
Mm-hmm.
He had this awful task. All his friends were off playing and stuff, right? And he had to stay there and paint this huge fence.
Right.
So what did he do? He's a clever kid. Talked to all his buddies. He's like, wow, you won't believe what I'm doing, man.
I'm painting
this fence. Did you ever get the... Oh, man. Oh, just the brush, the paint. You put it on there. And 5 minutes later, every other kid in the neighborhood is painting the fence. And he's sitting there looking at it.
Mm.
So again, your perception.
Right.
of the task. That's again why it's so important to think for yourself. Well, he told me I love painting fences, or
Right.
My mother told me I was great at making salads. When I mean, that's not to say I wasn't good, but all of this additional. Oh, could you please do that again? Oh, it was so good the last time you made a salad like that.
Yeah.
Now it's not even to question intentions. Now, but getting back to the way, and believe me, you will. There's an ocean of information about Taoism,
Right.
which was founded by attributed to Lao Tzu, who was a contemporary of another big guy named Mencius. But Taoism is very abstract.
It's
for the
it's-
Western mind.
It's on a different level that's outside of contemporary Christianity.
Oh, absolutely. They developed independently,
Yeah.
and the words yin and yang
Sure.
of Taoism. I believe the literal translation is something close to the light side and the sunny side of a hill.
Sure.
You have this, and you have that. You have masculine, and you have feminine. You have any sorts of things that it's a clear distinction.
Mm-hmm.
But they're complementary opposites. So just imagine, oh, geez, that's it. That's on the other arm, isn't it?
There it is. Yeah, the yin and the yang. There it is.
Yeah. So, actually, that's another neat tattoo. I don't have to show everybody.
All right.
But
If you're
keep talking.
listening, he's showing you his other tattoo of the yin and the yang, and there's actually a infantry regiment
Check that out.
that used the yin and yang tattoo for the North and the South fighting. Yeah, and it was considered to be a I guess like a racist symbol because it involved
Whoa.
whatever it involved. They were allowed to keep it because of its historical meaning. So it's a patch that they wear in a certain infantry regiment where it is the yin and the yang, but it's the blue and the gray.
Okay.
Yep.
So interesting because I did study at Gettysburg College.
Yeah.
Hey, for a short.
Well, I didn't. So I should finish that. But while the reason they have that symbol and wear it as a patch is because the blue and the gray came together during that war.
Oh.
They did. And they helped each other with medical supplies and everything else because they were just, it was brother against brother, it was cousin against cousin. And they came up with that yin and the yang, and they adopted it from that. And they used the blue and the gray as their patch, the infantry regiment.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, during that battle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. You still wear it.
I mean, it's a real. Some of the irony, or I shouldn't say ironies. Tragedy. Such tragedy. And if you've ever been out to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, I strongly recommend taking the battlefield tour. It has the most monuments of its kind.
It really does, yeah.
Per square mile, however it's measured, than any other national park. And you may enjoy this. You got to see Pennsylvania Monument. It is enormous.
Which one are we talking about?
Pennsylvania Monument. I'll try to get off the phone, but it has plaques on the side of the soldiers from Pennsylvania who lost their lives at Gettysburg.
I have seen that.
And I'm proud to believe on good reports that I have family
Yeah.
on that monument. Anyway,
Wow. And then I'll just real quick before we jump off of that. There's also, if you've never been to Mount Washington in Pittsburgh, you want to see the Washington statue.
Oh, yeah.
George Washington making a treaty with the chief.
Nice.
Yeah, you want to
Yes.
see that.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So in the infinite versions of yourself,
Yeah.
I think one of the things we do with infinity is just try to make the best sense of the finite within our realm of experience.
Right.
You'll go nuts if you try to figure everything out, you know?
Yeah, you'll literally go outside of your own sanity, outside of your own soul, outside of your own perception, trying to figure out how many individuals find all these different realities of you. And I think that's an important thing to think about. So, as
either residual your Facebook profile page that you don't use anymore.
Sure, there's that.
Yeah.
You have a Facebook profile you don't use anymore.
Right.
So that's the last thing anybody has ever seen.
Yes. In that universe, people just noticed that. Hey man, why aren't you on Facebook? I haven't seen you in years.
I haven't seen you in years.
Well, it's about it's about limiting things. But I think the way for a guy like me is trying to be good to your fellow human being. And,
sure.
And I need help more than anybody else sometimes by counting on people. But maybe the way is to teach and encourage others, to help others find their way, hopefully, by helping people. There's a lot to be said about service to your fellow human being.
Right.
And I'm just a regular guy. I got a regular job, but I deal with a lot of people, and people that can decide whether or not they want to interface with me or my organization. But it's a series of voluntary relationships, and I think that's one of the most important aspects of life that should not go away.
Sure.
Is rather than being compelled or given that job you don't want to do.
Right.
Because you also have to look at yourself in the mirror. At work they said go in this spreadsheet and hit these buttons. Okay. I could seek to understand it. Oh, I just terminated 100 business relationships.
Sure. I'm just going to push this.
Right. Now,
that's what you told me to do.
Right. So, and this ties back to the last podcast, inching around. It's all about the real estate.
Yeah.
I need that trade back.
No, I get that, because it's the same thing that we're all given. I mean, unless you're born wealthy, you're going to press a button. You're going to press the button because the boss told you to press the button.
Right.
Do this, Roger. Yes, boss.
What are the consequences? Don't worry about it.
Just do this. Press this button. Okay. That's my job. I'm going to press this button. Because if I don't press this button, then I don't get money. And if I don't get money, I don't eat. So I'm going to press this button.
Yeah. There's a very interesting short story where a woman, a married woman, is approached by a complete stranger with a box. Maybe you've heard this one. And they're like, hello, I have a very interesting offer for you. This touches right on this. She's like, okay. And they're like, you're going to get $500,000. All you got to do is just open the box, push a button inside. That's it. Money's yours. And they're like, whoa, I don't want to do that. I don't want to terminate anyone else's life. It's an ethical dilemma, right? So the stranger assures her nobody you know is going to be killed. She's like, oh. So she presses the button, right? She gets home and her husband's gone. And dude shows up, gives her the $500,000, and she couldn't be more mad. She said, you said it will be someone I didn't know. It was my husband. To which they reply, you didn't really know him.
And there you go. And that is the perfect wrap up to the infinite realities of the self.
We could go on forever.
We could go on forever about this. But we know you're busy. Don't worry about that. We know you're busy, and you know that we're not that busy. But we're gonna see you next time on the Steel Plaza Podcast and Andy's Philosophy Corner and the darkest corners of the world. And don't forget to donate to the show at www.paypal.me/Steel Plaza Podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks so much for telling a friend, and we'll see you next time right back here on the show.